Hey everyone, how's it going? So today I just wanted to share a bit about how my approach to dieting has evolved over the years and how it started out a bit more regimented, but now basically it's purely intuitive. I'm not measuring any portion sizes or weighing out ingredients. It's very easy for me to maintain, and I hope that just by sharing how I learned to do things, it might help you make managing your diet a little bit easier. So, although I eat intuitively now, that doesn't mean that using a strict diet plan for a period of time doesn't have its benefits. So number one, you can help to reset your palate and your appetite. So, if you're somebody that used to eat a ton of sugar, drink soda all the time, and your portions were out of control, you're just going to need some restrictions to help you kind of find a more reasonable balance as far as what natural foods and natural sweetness is supposed to taste like, and just to kind of get your portion sizes down to a more reasonable level. The first thing that had a big impact on me was reading The Anabolic Diet by Mauro Di Pasquale. This is a diet that was based primarily on the concept of carb restriction and then carb loading done in a strategic way to help gain muscle mass, but at the same time limit body fat or eliminate body fat gain depending on your calorie intake. So for some people could use it as a bulking diet. You could use it as a maintenance diet. It could be a diet to get lean also. So it kind of all depends on how you manipulate it. The thing with the diet is it teaches you when you need to increase your carbs or decrease your carbs based on your energy levels and how your body composition is changing. So that experimental element within the diet is what I found to be very helpful in teaching me how to pay attention to my body's signals. So with this sort of carb cycling, you are able to see significant changes in weight gain and weight loss. A lot of that is due to changes in glycogen levels, but you're also able to notice a trend from, let's say, the beginning of the week when you've just done a carb load to the end of the week when you're depleted, and then the week to week trend. So if you're trying to gain weight, you want to see maybe a pound or two increase each week. And having a regular cycle like this is a good way to make sure you're on track. This also taught me the concept of cheat meals, which help, especially for somebody new to dieting, because it means that you don't have to eliminate any food 100%. You just have to restrict it to a certain meal or a certain day. So following the anabolic diet gave me a really good idea of how to control my portion sizes, how to manipulate my carbohydrate intake, and to know how much protein I need based on my activity levels. So later on, I came across the elimination diet. And this came about because I was actually starting to develop eczema on my hands. It was started in my fingers, and then it started to spread to the back of my hand, and it actually started to really get painful. Initially, I went to a dermatologist. They gave me some kind of steroid hand cream, and it did work, but I didn't want to just have to put a cream on my hand for the rest of my life. So I was like, there's got to be a more reasonable solution to this issue. So that's when I came across the elimination diet, because I had learned that a lot of these inflammatory issues and skin issues can be caused by inflammation and gut irritation. My first course of action was to figure out what can I do from a nutritional standpoint that's going to help clear up the skin, so I'm not going to have to rely on different prescriptions and so on. basically what you want to do in the elimination diet is take out all of the common food triggers. And if you want to really go all in, you can get some allergy blood testing, which some of them are more reliable than others. But basically, if you take out, I would say dairy, wheat, especially whey protein, any source of gluten in the diet, corn is another good one you can take out, soy, and any kind of soy-based products. If you start there, you're probably going to be doing okay. People who eat a lot of eggs, a lot of chicken, any foods that you eat a lot of, this is a good time to take them out so that you can determine if they're causing any of the issues that are going on. So after spending several months on a more strict elimination diet, I started reintroducing foods to see if I still had any kind of negative reaction to them. And some of them went away. So for example, eggs, which had caused a bad reaction for a while, would cause the eczema to flare back up. After I gave sufficient time for my gut to heal, then eggs were no longer an issue. So the third phase of my diet evolution has to do with increasing my awareness of food and where my food is coming from. So this all basically began with becoming more educated over a long period of time on all of the harmful environmental and health effects of the modern agricultural food industry, basically. So once those things came to light for me, I said I got to do what I can to support farmers that are actually operating with ethics and doing things that are in harmony with the environment. So I know that a lot of you are going to say, yeah, I would love to eat locally grown, pasture-raised, organic food all the time, but this stuff is way more expensive than things I can get in the grocery store. It might be 2 or 3 times as much. Yes, it is 2 or 3 times as much, but there are a lot of ways that you can still make it work, and I wouldn't recommend going beyond whatever your food budget is, but instead just to say, I'm going to do the best that I can, and I'm going to try to make gradual improvements. Don't strive for perfection, just strive for improvement. That being said, cheap foods are only cheap because we're only looking at the dollar cost in the store. We're not accounting for the environmental costs, the health costs, and the social costs to producing foods in that sort of a way. So as I continued to pay more attention to my food quality, I noticed that I actually didn't have to eat as much in order to be satisfied. So that helps out somewhat with the cost issue, since yes, the food is going to be more expensive, but you probably won't feel like you need to eat as much of it. I also had less cravings, and obviously if you're getting more nutritionally dense food, then there's less of a need to take supplements to make up for those nutritional gaps. And on top of it, you're getting less exposure to chemicals like pesticides, herbicides, and fungicides, antibiotics, and growth hormones, which are all things that can cause unwanted health effects down the road. So lastly, I just wanted to speak a bit on mindset, because I think this is actually probably the most important factor for having long-term success when it comes to your nutrition. So number one, remember that everything is just an experiment. So don't be afraid to make mistakes. Don't be afraid to try something different and have it not work out, because you're always going to learn something. The important thing is that you're actually paying attention and you know what it is that you need to change. Don't try to shake up too many things at once, or it's going to be difficult to figure out what you need to do to make an improvement. So you also, during this period of time, want to make sure you're paying attention to how your body is feeling. And that, when I say that, I mean, how are you on an emotional level? How is your energy? Do you have certain cravings? Do you have stiff joints? Do you feel sharp one day and mentally foggy the next day. Pay attention to all those sorts of things so that you can identify which behaviors and which foods trigger those certain reactions. And it doesn't necessarily happen immediately. Sometimes you get a reaction several days later. But when you learn to make those associations yourself, then that's when you really start to just have a deeper understanding of your body and what it needs to stay healthy. So some of you might notice that whenever you are sleep deprived, you're craving sugar all day. So that's an important thing because it means that the sugar cravings are not necessarily a diet issue or a willpower issue or any of that. It's a sleep deprivation issue. So when you get to drill down to identify the true causes of things, that's when you can really make some good progress and just be in a healthier state overall. So that's basically it. That's how I developed my approach to dieting. I'm always making little tweaks here and there. I really like to cook, so I'm always experimenting with recipes, trying new ingredients, learning new things in that realm. So if you have any questions, let me know. Did this make sense? Was it confusing? Was it helpful? Do you need more detail? Please let me know in the comments and I'll come back with a follow-up video if I need to. All right, thanks. See you guys next time.